Anthony Hernandez just beat the absolute shit out of Roman Dolidze, and in doing so, he extended his win streak to 8. Next week at UFC 319, the middleweight title is on the line, and we're going to find out if Anthony Hernandez has done enough to earn himself a title shot. My name is Angelo. This is We Want Picks, and I'm going to recap and react to every single fight from UFC Vegas 109. Before we talk about the fights, let's talk about the bets. If you're here for the fight recaps, just go ahead and skip forward. We've got chapters in this video broken up for every single fight that happened tonight. I am filming this immediately following the event, and anytime I do that, the comments get lit up before the video is even public. This video is up for 2 seconds, and I immediately have 38 comments about people and their bets. So what we're going to do here is, because I want a nice balance of breaking down the actual fights and talking about all the things that happen. So what we're going to do is, from this point forward, this first slide is going to be me and my bets, and I'll talk about them. And then the next slide is just going to be all the bets. And then if you want to pause and zoom in, do all that crap, you're welcome to. So let's talk about my bets. I absolutely crushed. 2.37 units of net profit, a 39% ROI. Overall, the bets did very, very well. I only missed 2. The surprising one was actually Roman Dolidze inside the distance decision no action. I picked Anthony Hernandez. I thought he would win. I thought he would wear down Roman and take a decision. I didn't think he would finish Roman. And we'll talk about that fight in detail going forward. So this bet basically said, hey, Roman's really dangerous. If Roman pulls something off, we'll get paid. But if he loses a decision, which I thought was the most likely outcome, then I get a full refund. But I'm just hedging that Roman's dangerous and tough as hell. Turns out he got dog walked. And Cody Brundage. We'll break down the Cody Brundage fight next. The reality is that was a sketchy scorecard. We'll talk about it, but those are the only 2 bets I missed. The safety parlay. We changed that to the unnamed parlay because safety parlay missed a few in a row. And what happened was everybody lost their fucking minds. They lost their minds. How dare you call it the safety parlay? So I said, you know what? It's the unnamed parlay. That's what it said on the website. I got tons of DMs. Hey, is the unnamed parlay? I said, yeah, it's a safety parlay. I'm just being a smartass. But that did hit, and it was a 3-leg, and I was sweating it because that Fili Rodriguez fight, they got after it. They got after it. And I was like, oh, shit, this might not hit. But we had Elijah Smith, Christian Leroy Duncan, the Fili and Rodriguez over 2.5. We had a bunch of round lines hit here. My Miles John bet hit. Overall, great night for me. That is now 5 of the last 6 cards where I'm up considerable money. We're riding a streak here, boys. We are riding a streak. Last year, I hit a 15-event streak of just crushing. So let's just keep, positive vibes. Let's keep moving this train forward. Here's everything. I was up solid. Bet Sam was up. The unnamed parlay, formerly the safety parlay hit. The slam of the week hit. Jacob was down, however. He had a couple of bad beats there with the Cody Brundage loss. And then obviously Roman Dolidze just not showing up. We'll talk about that in a minute. But if you want to talk about all the upcoming fights, this is what we've got going on. Middleweight division is very interesting. Now, UFC 319 is next weekend. And if you want to unlock every pick, every bet, every tool for UFC 319, UFC Shanghai, UFC Paris, and Noche UFC, you can do so right now. Just one click of the button at WeWantPicks.com, and you are off to the races. It's not just a bunch of copy-paste bets, although my copy-paste bets happen to be absolutely crushing it, but it's not just that. We have a whole suite of tools and insight and information, quite literally anything you could ever want or need heading into a fight week. Even if you don't bet, you just want to support the boys, WeWantPicks.com, click Become a Member at the top is the best way to do so, and in return, you will get access to the greatest service in this space. UFC 319 is next weekend, and I'm very much looking forward to throwing up all my bets for that. Let's talk about the actual bets. And I know what's going to happen here. It's Cody Brundage. People hate him. There's always some controversy in the Cody Brundage fight. And I know what I can already see the comment section. Here's the reality of this fight. They both took it on short notice. Cody definitely got tired as shit. I think Cody won this fight. Is it a robbery? I don't think it was a robbery. Robbery is a term that gets thrown out way too much. I don't think it was a robbery. I think Cody won. I think he won 2 rounds to 1. Should have been a 29-28 for him, in my opinion. And let's go ahead and walk through that. The first round, Cody got cracked instantly. Like the first punch thrown hits him and he's wobbled. He doesn't get knocked down. It is not recorded as a knockdown. He's definitely wobbled, shoots for a leg, hangs on for dear life. Then he starts banging it out a little bit, gets a takedown, ends up with control. He closed that round out dominant. So he had 30 seconds of like, uh-oh, and then he took over. Grabbed the leg, regained his composure, ref separates him. He comes back. I think he won that first round. And I saw people in the Discord like, he got dropped in the first round. How could he win? He didn't get dropped, though. He didn't get dropped. He got wobbled, for sure. But he didn't get dropped, and that was quite literally 30 seconds. It wasn't like he got dropped and there was this wild exchange and then he managed to survive like what we saw with Steve Erceg. Saying Steve Erceg won his first round, that's an outrageous thing to say. They're not the same thing. Second round was Cody's round. He wrestled. He had dominant positions. He was controlling. He was landing big. He had McConico rocked, and he had McConico in a lot of trouble. And then the third round, Cody was tired as shit. Like, literally just like standing here, too tired to really do anything. That was a clear McConico round. Here's how the judges scored it. If you watched the broadcast, then you heard DC and everybody else making fun of these scorecards. Specifically, the Ben Cartilage scorecard. The Ben Cartilage scorecard, they were like, what the hell is that guy smoking? Cody Brundage did not win the third round, and he definitely won the second round. Like, what the hell are you looking at? Same exact thing, basically, with Tony Weeks. Tony Weeks takes the one round that Cody was like in a lot of trouble in and said he won that one. And then he said he lost the next two. And then Chris Lee, right smack in the middle, says Cody won every single round. He definitely didn't win the third. So these scorecards were an absolute hot mess disaster. And I know the comments. Anybody who's going to take the time to comment is not going to comment. I agree with you. They're all going to comment, Cody this, Cody that, Cody robbery, coping. I know how this works. I've been doing this long enough. And to those of you saying everybody knew, no, they didn't. Because this is Verdict. If you don't know what Verdict is, it's an app. And it has tens of thousands of people. And those people download the app and they vote for who is winning rounds. So the results of tens of thousands of people with the Verdict app all said Cody Brundage won this fight. All said Cody Brundage won this fight 29-28. 9.84 first round, 9.91 second round, and he lost the third. So the judges that are paid went this direction. The tens of thousands of fans that use the app went this direction. And I personally trust the masses, the fans. You ever go to Rotten Tomatoes and then the critics score is some low bullshit because it's artsy nonsense and they're looking for more than just being entertained? And then the actual people score, the human beings, the hundreds of thousands in that case, is like the accurate, like, yeah, 80%. This is just, it's a fun, entertaining movie. I trust scale. You get tens of thousands of people, the general consensus will normally be correct. And I think this was correct. First round, second round for Cody. Third round for Eryk. If you wanted to say the first round was for Eryk, even if you wanted to say that, if you wanted to say, listen, I think Eryk won. He won the first round because he had Cody in some trouble, and then he won the third round. Even if you wanted to say that, you could have a valid argument, right? That's not an outrageous thing to say. None of these fucking idiots said that. Not one of these paid jackasses had that opinion. That is the only valid opinion to me for anybody picking Eryk. If you think Cody Brundage won this fight, you gave him the first round and the second round. And if you think Eryk McConico won this fight, you gave him the first round and the third round. These fucking morons didn't do that. Two of them said Cody won the third round. To me, the second and the third were the clearest. So this was just a hot mess. Just a hot mess. The reality is Cody Brundage is a fun fighter. Is he going to be fighting for a world title? No. Is he going to get into some fights with some crazy shit? Yeah, like literally. That's what's been happening, and more of it will happen. But he goes out there. He puts on a show. He is fun. People talk about his fights after the fact, whether it was good, bad, crazy. And that's the exact type of person. You need those people on the UFC roster. It spices up events. If every single person on the UFC roster was like a technical, clean sport kickboxer, these fight cards would suck. You need some chaos. So I think Cody won. Obviously, he didn't in real life. I'm sure he'll be fine. His last fight was a decent performance. That got overturned. But I'm sure he'll be fine, and we'll see him again, and people will just say all their stuff. But he'll be entertaining. And I'm here to be entertained. This is sport. Let's have some fun. It's actually sports entertainment. That took us right to Gabriella Fernandez and Julia Stoliarenko. Gabriella Fernandez beat the absolute shit out of Julia. Just beat her ass. And what's interesting here is Julia's big. She was the bigger fighter, not the more muscular fighter, but she was the bigger fighter. And she tried to use her size to get this fight to the ground, and she just quite literally couldn't. Gabriella's takedown defense was good. The striking we knew was going to be good. I was on the Gabriella side. It went as I expected it to. I was a little nervous. I didn't do the round over on this one because I was like, there could be a finish on either side. Gabriella was closer to finishing than Julia. I kept calling her all week long the Temu version of Ronda Rousey, armbar or bust. And she didn't get an armbar, so bust. Gabriella Fernandez is looking good, though. She's hitting a nice little stride. She's hitting a little streak here. She is looking good. She was composed. Her striking was powerful. She was fast. She didn't panic with any of the takedowns. Like, Gabriella Fernandez could just sneakily become a problem in this weight class for some people. 15 full minutes of cardio, even with that muscular, like, she looked good. Julia needs to be cut. Like, there's not a place at the premier fighting organization on planet Earth for a woman who is 11-9 who can't get takedowns if she needs them, and she quite literally needs them. There's just not a... These are supposed to be the best fighters on planet Earth. Gabriella looked absolutely fantastic, so I'm not taking anything away from her. And Julia's tough as shit. She moved forward. She took her beating. Like, she's tough. She's just not very good. And speaking of tough, this was an awesome fight. We had Uros Medic taking on Gilbert Urbina. This fight ended in a little over 1 minute. And it started almost the exact same way that Cody Brundage fight started. Gilbert Urbina cracks Uros Medic. And Uros Medic is on, he's got a problem. He's wobbling, he's weebling, he's on ice skates. Then there's a little bit of an exchange on the ground. There's a whole thing. They get back up. Uros Medic lands a beautiful straight left. Just right down the middle. Flatlines Urbina. Just bink, boom, done. Uros Medic has insane power in his hands. It is crazy how hard this guy hits. You're one punching like that, and all of his wins, all 11 of his wins are knockout. It's insane. This dude hits so damn hard. And the craziest part about it, he's not at some big camp. He's not. The dude's in Alaska with his buddies. Like, it's crazy. It's crazy the success he's finding. Good for him. Great win. Exciting fight. He survived early. Punahele Soriano cracked him with that same shot that Gilbert Urbina hit him with, and he did not make it back up. In this one, he makes it back up, stays composed. He quite literally said, I know the power I have. I trusted it, and he sent that power. Uros Medic looked fantastic. Like, fan-fucking-tastic. Another guy. And obviously, he's on a little bit of a win streak, so it's a little different here, but, well, not a win streak. He just got knocked out. But he's on he's had quite a bit of success here. But he's another guy. Is he going to be fighting for a title? No. But he is exciting. He is fun. All of his fights, they're either finishes on his side, finishes on the other side. Like, no matter what, this dude's in a fun fight, so we need people like him on the roster. Unfortunately, Gilbert Urbina, 7-4 at this point. Just way too chinny. Like, sometimes it does surprise me. And I'm not trying to dog any fighter in particular. Like, oh, you saw. Actually, I'm about to do that later with Steve Erceg. But the reality is, like, this is the greatest fighting organization on the planet. Think about the best football player at your high school, and then one of the best football players at a college. Like, 1% of those people, 1% of the best end up in the NFL. 1%. But if you think about, like, a mediocre fighter in your gym, they could end up in the UFC. We're not quite mature enough as a sport to only have high-level athletes yet. But we got to start trimming a little bit of this fat and start bringing them in. We also need to bring fighters in that have more than 4 or 5 fights. That's also part of the problem here. A lot of these fighters end up in the UFC 5-0. I mean, Julius Walker, we'll break him down a little bit. He came into the UFC with 6 fights. It's just a little too early. Uros looked great. Urbina, you got to get some wins somewhere else. Then we had an unbelievable fight. This was an awesome fight. Joselyne Edwards, Priscila Cachoeira, first round finish. This was under 1 round, or under a half of a round. 2 minutes and 24 seconds into the first round. Joselyne Edwards knocks out Priscila Cachoeira. The reality is, Priscila Cachoeira just moves forward, just bombing away like an absolute lunatic psychopath. And the announcers kept saying, she's got to put her arms up because she's going to get knocked out. Sure as shit, Joselyne Edwards knocked her out. Bad. Like, hit her in the face. She was like, and then fell down, done. What is crazy, though, is she was having success doing that. My whole breakdown of Joselyne going into this fight was, if you can pressure her and get inside of the range, she doesn't like it. And she didn't like it. She did not like it. She would keep ducking her head and she would throw her own winging punch. And Priscila was the one having the early success. Priscila was the one doing well early. But then Joselyne had a few perfectly timed shots when she was ducking, a few really good exchanges, and then Joselyne gets the finish. Good for Joselyne. She keeps missing weight, though. So what's going to happen is, actually, I don't know, because there's not another weight class for her to go to. There's 135 pounds. They either have to cut her or that's it, because I don't believe there's a 145-pound division anymore. I don't know if they officially got rid of it or they just stopped having those bitches fight. But Joselyne Edwards, 135 pounds, never making the weight. I think she's quite literally missed weight more than she's made it. But unless you're willing to cut her, you can't force her to go up, like what they did with C-Rod. Joselyne Edwards looked good. I mean, she was getting backed up. She was getting tagged. Her face was bloodier. But she looked good because she didn't panic. She bombed away, like fought fire with fire. Came out successful. Priscila Cachoeira, I just keep saying, how many times in this card am I going to say? She's never going to fight for a title, but she is fun and she is exciting. So if she's going to come out here and put on a show in a women's division that doesn't really have a lot of people putting on exciting fights, you're kind of stuck keeping her around. Overall, solid fight. I watched this with my kids, and my oldest is like, why is a girl fighting a boy? And I was like, that's a girl with just a horrendous haircut. Just shaves the sides. Just a bad haircut. But that is a girl. Then we had one of the most disgusting knockouts we've ever seen. And I'm saying disgusting in a good way. We had the slam page. If you don't know, slam page is Rampage Jackson in Pride was in a triangle from Ricardo Arona, picked him up over his head, and just fucking slammed him to the ground. They called him Slam Page. Because that wasn't the only one. That was his very first power bomb, but he also picked people up, threw their hand in the crotch, picked them up, dumped them. Like Rampage Jackson was slamming people back in the day. They called him Slam Page. We got a power bomb here. But before the power bomb, we had Elijah Smith just beating the piss out of Toshiomi Kazama. But Kazama is tough as hell. This dude took his beating. And not only did he take his beating, he was creating crazy scrambles. He had a heel hook. Then he had an arm bar. Then he had a triangle. Like, this dude was going from move to move to move, transition to transition. All while Elijah Smith quite literally handled it perfectly, because he would make sure his position was okay and then would just start beating on this dude's face. But he has no quit in him. Kazama was just taking his beating off of his back. Then eventually he went for that triangle and he was hanging on for dear life, and then he got power bombed. He was motionless on the ground for a solid 2 minutes. 2 full minutes, motionless on the ground. They're like, oh, let's go to commercial. Then they go to commercial. They come back. The camera is like hiding in a corner so we don't see the lifeless guy on the floor. And then they're like, he's good news. His eyes are open. Great news. His eyes are open. Then in the weirdest thing, they're like, when they came back from commercial, right before they cut to commercial, because this man might have literally died, the announcer, the British one, I'm forgetting his name, was literally saying he's going to be taken to this hospital. It is 10 miles away, a 20-minute drive. What the fuck? That's such a weird update. First of all, 20 minutes sounds far as hell. 20 minutes. That doesn't sound close. So poor Kazama, I mean, his brain might be bleeding. And I turn on Jacob's live stream, and Jacob was watching the fights when they gave an update. Like I don't know, right before the featured prelim, we get an update. Or maybe it was right before the main card. We get an update. They're releasing Kazama from the hospital. And Jacob's like, that dude, you don't want to keep him? Like, just for some overnight? You don't want to keep an eye on the guy? Like, that was bad. And then he looked at the clock. He's like, oh shit, it's 5:30 in Las Vegas. If you stay till 6, the UFC has to pay for the overnight. So theory is they kicked his ass out, they don't have to pay. Here's my real question here. There was never a question who was going to win this fight. Elijah Smith was 10 times the athlete, the better striker, just good. that was never in the air. That was never a question. To me, the question is, how will Elijah handle this? Does he give a fuck? Or will it affect him? For those of you who know who Uriah Hall is, if you've been watching for a while, Uriah Hall was in the, I don't know if it was the finale or just on The Ultimate Fighter years ago. I mean, we're talking, I think this fight happened in 2012. He has an unbelievable spinning back heel kick. He cracks this dude, I don't know his name, some white guy. Knocks him out. And that guy was stiff as a board. Bad. And so at first, Uriah Hall's like, yes, yeah, I got the... And then he was like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. He thought he like killed that dude. And it fucked up Uriah Hall. Uriah Hall was quite literally never the same after that. He's talked about it. We've seen it with our own eyes in fights. He was never the same after that. Like the emotional damage that the harm he did to this person caused him affected the rest of his career. I am curious. And that dude is fine. That guy's fine. I mean, I don't know if he's fine. But he's like alive. And he doesn't talk with a slur. So I'm assuming he's fine. And that was 13 years ago. And look how fast I did that math. Elijah Smith may or may not care. He didn't seem as emotionally affected, but honestly, I went back and I watched the Uriah Hall one. He didn't seem very emotionally affected in the moment as well. So I am curious. Maybe it's nothing. Or maybe he powerbombed this dude and it was scary and he was worried. He said on the mic, I'm going to pray for him. It might affect him. I don't think so. But it is an interesting thing to bring up because I'm an interesting guy and I have all sorts of MMA knowledge because I've seen every fight ever in the history of time. Then we have Julius Walker taking on Raffael, and his name, they say cicada, like the fucking disgusting bug that comes from the ground every 7 years. Julius Walker beats Raffael Cicada. Barely beats him. This was also a slug fight. It opened up with Cicada absolutely lighting up Julius Walker, blasting him in the face, beating the shit out of Julius Walker. And I said all week long, this dude is not a fucking 6-1 favorite. He beat a 40-year-old man, or he loses to a 40-year-old man. And now he's like this 6-1 favorite. And he ended up winning the fight. So a win is a win. Whether you paid minus 600 odds and he barely wins, or you got him at plus 5,000 and he definitely wins. It's the same. I get it, right? A win is a win. And I could have done better examples than that. So he won the fight. But did this gentleman look like a 6-1 favorite to you? Because he was almost finished early. And it wasn't just like one hit. It was multiple hits. And then even later, he was getting tagged. Like his striking defense is not good. Julius Walker gets hit to like a motherfucker. The only reason Julius Walker was able to survive is because Cicada has no takedown defense. So Julius Walker would dive at legs, get a takedown. It was like, oh, thanks, sweet Jesus. I'm on the ground, not getting hit in the face. And then the grappling advantage was tremendous. And it wasn't like, oh, wow, Julius Walker's this unbelievable grappler. It was like, Jesus Christ, Cicada can't do fuck all on the ground. Even Dominic Cruz was like, they kept telling us Cicada was John Almeida's training partner. That dude's just a body in the room. There's no fucking way he's doing anything. He's just a body in the room. And I agree. Like, that dude had no grappling skills whatsoever. Now, later in the fight, Julius Walker's takedowns got sloppier and more ridiculous, and Cicada defended some. It was a sloppy-ass fight. And Julius Walker's posting on Twitter like, look at me. Here's the weigh-in from my last fight. Here's this one. I feel great. I look great. And then he completely gasses. He almost gets knocked out. He's able to just not be as gassed as his opponent. And DC's big ass was like, this. It might have been Dominic Cruz. Training at elevation is really showing here. It's like, well, no, it isn't. No, it isn't. He was less gassed than his also very gassed opponent. But it's not like Julius Walker has the Anthony Hernandez gas tank. So this was a fun fight. Don't get me wrong. I'm dogging him a little bit because he was a 6-1 favorite, and I thought that was outrageous. And then you watch the fight with your eyes, and you're like, that was outrageous. But this was a fun fight. Slug fights are fun. Anytime a fight is a slug fight, it's fun as hell. And don't comment it's not a real word. It's a real word. It's a real word. And a slug fight and a slug fest are different things. A slug fight is sloppy. It's back and forth. It's a sloppy mess all over the place. A slug fest are two guys that can be technical and they get after it. This was a sloppy mess. I mean, you got to cut Cerqueira at this point. And I don't know what you do with Julius Walker. Let's just probably a future fade. Let's just see what the matchups are. If you fight somebody else that can't defend takedowns, he might have some success. But this is not a 6-1 favorite kind of guy. He just isn't. And you need to remember that going forward. Then we had Christian Leroy Duncan taking on Eryk Anders. And CLD looked fantastic. Fantastic. Another fight. Like, the picks were great on this card. I had this pick. I said CLD is going to be the pick, but if he comes out here with some dumbass making grilled cheese at his night game plan like he did in his last fight, it could be weird. And that was not the game plan. He was strike heavy. He was, in this fight, the guy that we always thought he was. A very flashy, a very fun striker. There was a spinning. He ended it with a spin, I believe. There were spins. There was jump knees. He was on it. He was on it. The hands looked great. The feet looked great. He looked absolutely fantastic in this fight. A couple of fouls early, but none of them were, it was an eye poke, a nut shot. And the good news is, and the commentators talked about this, where they're like, man, he just got called for the eye poke, hard warning. He got the nut shot, hard warning there. And Eryk Anders is a southpaw, so CLD's might hit his nuts again. He's going to lose a point. And CLD didn't care. Like, he didn't adjust. He didn't stop throwing kicks. He just continued to do what he was doing, which was pressure, be creative with the striking, have fun out there. He hits hard. Like, this version of him is great. Problem is, we've seen this version in the past. And then we've also seen the weird I'm a wrestler version. So depending on his next matchup, until I see him be this version 2 fights in a row, it's really hard to know what you're going to get. But he looked great. Eryk Anders is a good dude. He's a violent guy. He's a big guy. He's athletic. He's just too old and slow. He was never fast, but now that he's getting older, he's even slower. And you're fighting a young, super fast guy like CLD, you really can't do much. Your only real option is to bum rush him to the cage and hold on to him real tight. And CLD was the bigger fighter here, which that surprised me as well. CLD looked absolutely unbelievable. I don't know what you do with Eryk Anders at this point. Like, he doesn't have a great record. He's had some good wins. He's been around forever. He's a little older. I mean, give him another older dude. Who at middleweight is old? Give him an old middleweight. And let's see what happens. Then we had Jean Matsumoto and Miles John. I picked Miles Johns, but I didn't outright bet him. I bet the plus 3.5. If you're not familiar with sports betting or what that means, I basically bet the spread. Every judge has to score every round 10 points or fewer. Then you total up each individual judge's scores, and then you add 3.5 points to that. It was an even money bet. It was a plus 100 bet. And it hit. Because this first round of the fight, Miles Johns won that first round. Very clearly won that first round. On a night where the judges' scorecards were, you could argue all of the correct people won the fights. I don't think Cody Brundage lost, so I don't think all the correct people won the fights. But there's a valid argument to be made that all the judges scored for the right person. But the individual scores were wild. And I was like, after that first round, I'm like, good. As long as Miles John doesn't get his shit pushed in the next 10 minutes, we're good. And then I started to get a little nervous, like, we're going to get some random asshole judge that has a 30-27 for Jean Matsumoto. And we didn't. Miles Johns early looked good. He had takedowns. He was landing clean. Beautiful right hand. He was very mobile. He was doing a lot. Then he started to slow down a little bit because he carries a lot of muscle mass and everything he does is a big action. And Jean Matsumoto started to crank it up a little bit. Couple things on the Jean side. Miles Johns looked like Miles Johns, just a little better, right? He mixed in wrestling a little more. The hands were a little cleaner than usual. He looked like a little bit better version of his normal self. Jean Matsumoto is a prospect, and he is very good. He has his own offensive wrestling. Even when he was taken down, Miles Johns a good high-level wrestler. He was taken down, and he would still work. His Muay Thai is good. He was a Muay Thai fighter before an MMA fighter, and then he came to the UFC and trying to get rid of the Muay Thai stance and all that stuff. He's very, very good. He is too hittable, though. He's very good. Don't get me wrong. Jean Matsumoto is very good, and he's young, so he's got a great gas tank. He's still got a great chin, but he's too hittable. He's too hittable. To be as good as he is offensively, because his striking offense is fantastic, his defense is not there yet. So I think Jean Matsumoto is a very good fighter, but I think before he steps up to this next level in this division, he needs to clean up the striking defense. He gets hit way too much for a young kid that is that mobile. He's very, very good. His striking looked great. The cardio looks unbelievable. They kept praising him for being conservative with his energy, but he looked good. He looked good. He won this fight. This was the correct decision. It was actually a split decision. I don't necessarily think it was close enough to be a split. I think a 29-28 was fine, honestly. But we got a split, so no big deal. But Matsumoto looked very good. Miles Johns looked unbelievable for 5 minutes. So my bet cashed. Then we had Andre Fili sort of batter and bruise Christian Rodriguez. I did pick Andre Fili. I didn't bet on him because I'm kind of a coward. And I'm pretty sure when I got my vasectomy done, they took out a little too much. So I don't have the nuts to lay out all of these underdogs. And picks and bets are not the same. So I'm okay picking a dog like Andre Fili with an objective breakdown and analysis. And I said all week, C-Rod's never beaten anybody with any real experience. And Andre Fili has real experience. He's fought some of the best people on the planet. Look at his record. He has fought some of the best people on the planet. He has dog in him. He has wrestling. Andre Fili is good. And he's a true featherweight. Christian Rodriguez is only in this division because he fat ass kept missing weight. So I picked Andre Fili all week long. But I didn't bet on him because I'm a coward. I had the over 2.5 in this fight, though, in the safety parlay, the unnamed parlay. So I guess in a way I did bet on him. The reality is Andre Fili was just a little bit better than C-Rod everywhere. Everywhere. Just a little better, a little faster, a little cleaner. C-Rod did get an occasional takedown. I don't know what he was officially scored with, but he got one at the end of the first round. He got a takedown here, he got a takedown there, but Andre Fili was too good, scrambled. On the feet, Andre Fili was just faster. He was cleaner. C-Rod was making it dirty by just like moving forward and trying to dirty box. That doesn't seem like the right game plan against somebody as clean as Andre Fili. And Andre Fili was like banging it out for a little bit, but he has so much high level experience. This dude fought Max Holloway. He went to war with Nathaniel Wood, like Dan Ige. And he didn't win all of those fights, but he was in there with all of those fighters. So you're not going to like outdog somebody like him. And the caption here says Fili is not a prospect. He's not a prospect. He's 35 years old. So you're not going to come in here and bully a veteran. You're not going to be able to do to him what you did to Austin Bashi, which is like push him against the cage and get him out of sorts. You're not going to be able to do to him what happened to Isaac Dolgarian or Raul Rosas Jr., where you weather a little bit of a storm and you've got great cardio. No, you have to be the better fighter, and I never thought Christian was the better fighter in this matchup, so I went with Andre, and Andre got it done. Now, unfortunately for Christian Rodriguez, he's on a little bit of a skid here. It's 2 fights in a row. And has he lost 4 of his last 5? He lost to Julian Erosa. He lost his last 2, so that's 3 there. So maybe he's lost 3 of his last 5. It's not great time for Christian Rodriguez. Let's see. Is it 3? 1, 2, 3. Yeah, it's 3 of his last 5. No, 4. Oh, no, 3. All right, relax, Angelo. Jesus Christ. The reality is Andre Fili looked good. And I'm not going to say C-Rod looked bad. I think it's just lack of experience. And he just beats the shit out of these young prospects. So then when he gets a savvy veteran, it's just not quite there. But overall, this was a good fight. It wasn't amazing. It was much more of a technical point fight. You can see C-Rod's face is all absolutely mangled. I'm actually surprised it was that bad because this was more of a technical point fight than anything. Then we had Angela Hill taking on Iasmin Lucindo. This was another weird scorecard. I think the correct fighter won. I think Iasmin should have won. But the reality is that 30-27 across the board seemed weird to me. It seemed weird to me. This seemed like Angela Hill could have stolen around, certainly on one judge's scorecard. Like early, Angela Hill looked good. She was defending takedowns. She was like threatening guillotines, standing, which would get the hips away. She was busy. She was landing clean. She looked good. Angela Hill looked very good. Ultimately, her undoing was just that she's 40. And she was fighting a 23-year-old with endless pressure. Endless pressure. Dude, Iasmin Lucindo just has endless pressure. She just did not stop moving forward, did not stop throwing something, did not stop trying to tie up the body and get a takedown here, get a takedown there. Angela Hill, this might be some of the best she's ever looked because It's not like Angela's last fight, which she won, where she stayed on the outside and just had such fast, busy hands that she was never in any real danger. This was different. She had great grappling scramble skills. She had great threats for submission. Like, Angela Hill looked really good here, and a lot of people got fucking smoked on a +3.5, and I'm surprised because I thought Angela Hill absolutely did enough. I thought she absolutely did enough to, I mean, it definitely felt closer than when they read the actual scorecard. I mean, Angela Hill was able to defend a few takedowns, make stuff happen. I mean, one judge gave her a 29-28, but the other two were very clear. This is 30-27. And it felt like she did enough that every judge would give her one round. But Aizen Lucindo gets it done. Takedowns aren't great. Her striking's not great. She's just quite literally tenacious. And her size, her physicality at 115 pounds, her nonstop pressure was absolutely enough to get it done here. And that's the difference between a 23-year-old and a 40-year-old. Like, being a veteran matters, but there's also there's an inflection point where you're just too old. Then we had the co-main event of the evening. Guys, I think Steve Erceg sucks at fighting. That's it. And I tweeted that. And then you always get, anytime you say some shit like that, you get some fucking dork. Let's see. And this absolute loser goes, how do you think you would do against him in a ring? First of all, they don't fight in a ring, do they, you fuck puppet? Second of all, I bet I beat Steve Erceg's dumb ass. No joke. I am 6'3", 260. I have wrestled my entire fucking life. I've been grappling for 25 years. I bet I fuck Steve Erceg up because A, he's teeny tiny, and B, this dude has the worst fight IQ for somebody who looks like an Apple Store Genius Bar manager. His fight IQ is shit. I picked Steve Erceg. I do think he won this fight. I was surprised there wasn't a weird scorecard. This was a pretty accurate scorecard. But I said all week, this guy's quite literally fighting for his job. He has 3 losses in a row. He's fighting for his job. He is, technically speaking, an Australian national wrestling champion. He won their national tournament. He was the wrestling champion. And I was like, this dumb fuck needs to wrestle. He needs to wrestle. He will be fighting for his job against a very dangerous, very fast, better striker than him. He needs to wrestle. Ask me if he wrestled. Ask me. No, he didn't. He didn't wrestle until he was 99% knocked out. So credit to Steve Erceg for being insanely tough. Like, the dude's tough. Because I had over 1.5 in a parlay. And I said, why the hell is this a 1.5 round line? And then 40 seconds into the fight, you're like, oh, that's why it's a 1.5. Because Steve Erceg has no striking defense whatsoever. Dude, he gets hit a shit ton. Like, congratulations, Steve. You were able to take down Ode Osbourne, who quite literally might have some of the worst takedown defense in this division. And on the ground, he lost multiple scrambles to Ode. Ode quite literally ended up on top more than one time in scrambles on the ground. Dude, Steve Erceg is not that good. He doesn't have, like, I don't know what he doesn't have. Because he is tough. So he's by no means is he a coward. By no means. Like, he took his beating. The fight IQ is the problem. Your grappling got you to the UFC. Then you knock a few people out. Now you think you're a striker. Where's the game plan? Where's it? Because you know his game plan was not to grapple. He didn't start grappling until he was quite literally almost knocked out. And when I say almost, I don't mean like he was rocked a little bit. Like, some people, when they talk about the Cody Brundage fight, are going to exaggerate. And they're going to say he was almost knocked out. No, the fuck he wasn't. He didn't even fall down. He stumbled. Steve Erceg was like face first, like, doof. Some referees would have stopped that fight. And I can't get mad at Ode because he stepped up on short notice. A little more volume from him in either round 2 or 3, he probably would have won this fight. But I can't get mad at him. Like, he stepped up on short notice against a former title challenger, almost knocked that fool out. Ode looked good. Steve gutted it out. So again, like, compliments to him for his toughness. He's tenacious. Like, he's not a pussy. And that is huge. But, like, fuck, dude. Stop striking with better strikers than you. Start wrestling more and don't wait till you're almost knocked out to start wrestling. And then on the ground, he's giving up positions to Ode Osbourne. Dude, I don't think Steve Erceg's that good. A 3-fight. He earned his title shot by knocking out Matt Schnell. That's how he got his title shot. Then he loses 3 in a row, barely gets out of the first round against Osbourne, and has to hang on for dear life to get to the finish line. Like, he's not who they, like, and honestly, I love Bet Sam. Bet Sam's lucky as fuck. Bet Sam had two different bets dependent on Steve Erceg by decision. And I don't know if I've ever seen Bet Sam or Artem pick against the New Zealanders or the Australians. Talk about biased pick. Like, I picked Steve Erceg, but like, damn, dude, he's not that good. I hope he gets a really, really tough matchup in his next fight. And then let's see what the Kiwis and the Australians do. He's gonna win. Well, of course he's gonna win. With what? That trash fight IQ? Then we have the main event of the evening. Listen, Roman Dolidze looked like absolute shit. He looked like he doesn't know how to fight. He looked like a pussy, which is crazy because he's not. Like, this is the MMA community in general is the most what have you done for me lately community on planet Earth. Just period, end of story. There are people whose football teams haven't made the playoffs in 30 years. And every year, those people show up, they watch their team, they root for their team, they get a little down on them, but they're hopeful. Not in MMA. You got one bad performance, you're a loser bitch. And that is the hate that's about to go Roman Dolidze's way. Because this was not a close fight. It was not a dog fight. It wasn't competitive. And Roman embarrassed himself. And he embarrassed himself because he wasn't pulling guard because that's not his thing. But anytime there was any grappling exchange whatsoever, Roman was just on all fours. Like dropping soap in prison on purpose. Just on all fours with his head down. Like, have at me, big boy. Because he wanted to roll for a knee bar. And then he would roll and he would grab a leg for half a second. And Anthony Hernandez was like, then fuck it, stand up. I don't care. I'll just take your dumb ass down again. And that was the fight. That was literally the fight. But the weirdest part to me is not that Roman lost. I picked Anthony Hernandez to win. And I said, I think Anthony just wears him down. And that's what happened. The weirdest part to me was that Roman, like, kind of quit. And Roman's a dude that's been in some dog fights. He has been in some dogfight. I don't know what the deal was with this camp. And actually, when they were doing the promos of him, like, oh, I'm Georgia. I live in the village, and I like the village. Everybody knows everybody. Be a good person. That's great. It's all well and good. Who the fuck you training with? And I get it. He flies to Vegas, and he finishes up his camp with Eryk Nixick and everybody else at Extreme Couture. But like, what the fuck? You don't live there, so what are you doing the rest of the time? Dude, Roman looked bad. Bad. He bombed a few times, but then every time they got near the ground, he's sniffing the ground with his ass up in the air. It looked bad. This is a picture of Fluffy ended up with like kind of a duck under position on the feet and just fucking slammed Roman to the ground like a small child. It was bad. I picked Anthony to win, but I thought he would just outwork him. I didn't think he would beat the shit out of him in the first round. And then the second, and then the third, and then ultimately the fourth. The end of the third round was funny because he's on top of Roman Dolidze. He's landing elbows like this. There's a couple seconds left. The horn goes off. The round's over. And then Herb Dean steps in and breaks it apart. And everybody thought the fight was over. Roman thought he got finished. Anthony Hernandez is like, yeah. And then Herb Dean's like, that was the round. The fight's still going. And I was like, oh my God. Anthony Hernandez is going to have an adrenaline dump. But no, he didn't. It didn't matter. It literally changed nothing. Because at this point, I was just needing Roman to not get finished. Like, all right, he'll survive. Like, he's tough. That adrenaline dump might help him out a little bit. He was not fine. He got the piss beat out of him. Did Roman have any success at all? And I'm getting texts from people who I like and respect. Let's read some of these texts. I'm not going to put them on screen. Roman is horrendous. He looks like a child. He's already gassed. He wants out. He's a quitter. Pathetic. Running away. This is an easy fight for Anthony. Roman is a bum. Can't even throw a 1-2 jab properly. Literally collapses anytime they lock. And all of those texts were correct. Literally all those texts were correct. Bizarre performance. Let's talk about Anthony Hernandez, though. Great performance from him. Fought a very dangerous guy. I talked about Steve Erceg and his ridiculous lack of fight IQ, but he looks like a genius. We had Anthony Hernandez, who doesn't look like a genius, has phenomenal fight IQ because he was taking Roman down, staying away from the legs, keeping his legs away, staying away. He would land strikes where he could land strikes, and he felt good in position. He felt good. He stayed. As soon as there was movement, he's like, I'm out. Stand up. I'll just take it down again. We'll start over. Great game plan. Didn't even engage in Roman's best thing. Didn't even do it. And on the feet, you know how you deal with big looping power? You fucking crowd. You just crowd. And that's what he did. He crowded. He got in Roman's face. He took him down whenever he wanted to. On the ground, he avoided any trouble. And if it felt like there was something, he was out. Great performance by Anthony Hernandez. So now the question is going to be, did he do enough to leapfrog RDR? What happens if Kyle Barallo or Nasruddin Imavov have a great performance? What happens next week at UFC 319? There's a lot of stuff going on, and it is all going on over these cards. RDR just finished. Nasruddin Imavov and Kyle Barallo are fighting in a couple of weeks. The middleweight title is on the line next week. The middleweight division right now is the most interesting it has ever been. It has ever been because all of these people are competitive. This isn't like the Anderson Silva days where you just sparked everybody. Like, these are all competitive matchups. And if you want to check out every pick, every bet, every tool that we have for these 4 fight cards, it's only $10. Just go to WeWantPicks.com, click Become a Member at the top. You'll unlock everything instantly. One click, boom, presents itself to you. Every pick, every bet, every tool. WeWantPicks.com, click Become a Member. At the top, here's a look at some of those tools. It's not just a list of bets. It's a full-blown interactive website with more tools than you could ever imagine. We have a fight simulator. It simulates fights 100,000 times, and it gives you the outputs. We have a tape index for those of you who like to do your own research. You know what a pain in the ass it can be to find these fights and watch old fights. We got it all lined up for you, ready to go. We also film vlogs. UFC 319 is next weekend, and I'll be filming a vlog for that card. So if you want to become a premium member, come on. Go to the website, WeWantPicks.com, click Become a Member at the top. It's $10. If you want to send some mail for the vlogs, send some mail. We Want Picks, P.O. Box 406, Prosper, Texas, 75078. UFC 319 is next weekend. It is the most excited I've been for a main event, I think, all year. Like, I am very, very excited for that fight card, that main event specifically. I hope you guys had good of a night as I did. See you in the morning for the UFC 319 breakdown.